to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Director Fourcroy?
Here.
Director Millage?
Here.
Director Womack?
Present.
Vice President Cesenia?
Here.
President Ohilsky?
Present. Okay, so first item on our agenda is public comment for items not on our agenda. Do we have any public comments on that? I know Richard wants to talk, but do you have something first, please?
Good evening, I'm Julie Tacker, and I'll first thank Director Fourcroy for his comments at the end of last meeting where he brought up the solid waste increase of 25.31%. And I would ask your board, you as individuals, and the public at large in the Los Osos CSD boundary and outside of it to all protest this rate increase that is going to be approved on Tuesday, December 17th, in front of the County Board of Supervisors at a meeting at 9 a.m. You have to get a written protest in. They will not take an email. So put that in the mail tomorrow and send it to County of San Luis Obispo Administrative Office, attention Clerk of the Board, 1055 Monterey Street, Suite D430, San Luis Obispo, California 93408. You do need to have your property address and your assessor's parcel number on the letter, and you do have to be either the recorded owner or the tenant or customer of record for the property that you are protesting the rate increase for. I've been trying to get some more information about the rate increase. As you may recall, the district here had control of the solid waste franchise up until 2013 from 1998-ish. And we did some things with the franchise fee that related to solid waste, things we should be proud of. We had Big Trash Day. We had Bring Your Couch to Fairchild Way Day, refrigerators, all those things. We had chipping days. We had a lot of things to address thinning of vegetation, those kinds of things for fire suppression. But the county's not doing that with their franchise fees. I'm trying to find out what they are doing with the franchise fees, and the first blush answer to my question from one of the supervisors, administrative assistants, legislative assistants, whatever they're called, was that those funds are now discretionary. I have a real problem with that. This is a 218 process. We need to know what all the monies related to the rates are and what they're for and how they're to be spent. So while you're protesting, ask questions. At the very least, ask the question that they take the franchise out to bid. Let's see if another trash company could do the same job at a lower price. I think it's time this same trash company has had this district long enough, and if they can't do it at a better price, let them compete for it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. No, but it didn't go yellow. Okay, Richard.
Richard Margetson. I came tonight to talk about the 14th Annual Needs and Wishes Holiday Fundraiser for the Homeless after the Chamber of Commerce Parade on Saturday, the 14th. Our event is from 10 o'clock till 7 at night. Most of you know what happens at the event. The recipients this year, though, are the 40 Prado Homeless Service Center in San Luis Obispo, the Slow North Clinic, who provide free medical services to the underinsured and uninsured throughout the county, and the People Helping People portable shower project that we're hoping to get completed this coming year. Before I go any further, if anybody would like to have lunch with Director Chuck Cecina, there will be a silent auction item there Saturday. You can bid on it, and he is taking them to Celia's this year? I think Celia's. So anyway, come bid on that. I highlighted most of the stuff at the last time I talked a month ago, so tonight I just wanted to kind of briefly go over the entertainment schedule for those watching. 11:30 to 12, the Bay Osos Line Dancers. 12 to 12:30, the Bay Osos Scottish Country Dancers. 1 to 2, the Joyous Voices, led by Victoria Lowry. 2 to 3, Ichimi Daiko Drum Group, the Japanese taiko drummers. They're fabulous. 3:30 to 4, Balkan Central. 4 to 4:30, Big Rock Balalaika. 4:30 to 5, South Bay Folk Dancers. 5 to 6, Singing for Hope, the community choir led by Colleen Wall. 6 o'clock, the silent auction ends promptly, and then the raffle winners will be announced. And from 6 to 8, you can pick up your silent auction items at night or the next day from 10 to 2 at the community center. And if you can't pick them up, then we'll make arrangements to get them to you. As you know, most of you, this event is unique because we have no overhead. So every penny raised that day in the room goes to the recipients. Nothing is taken off the top. So come make it a success. Many people you know will be there, friends and neighbors. This is an event that'll get you in the holiday spirit. So this is the season of giving, but it's also the season of giving back. Keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So with that, then we'll move to the...
Could I say a couple things, just briefly? I wanted to thank Julie for following up on the franchise fee issue. It's maybe time to talk to the county. I totally agree with the things that you're doing there and keeping that in front of us. Thank you. The Needs and Wishes event, if you haven't been there, you can do everything from stock up on all your sweets for the holidays because people bake and bake and bake and bring it in. Toys, the donations from the toy manufacturers are just incredible. If you need to stock your kitchen, the pots and pan sets, everything. I mean, I have a tremendous amount of fine art in my house that people have donated at that silent auction. So there's something for everyone, even hot dogs and hamburgers. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, then we'll move on to administrative committee reports. The fire department report, please. Chief, thank you.
Good evening, George Huang, Cal Fire, San Luis Obispo County Fire, along with your South Bay Fire Department. For the month of November, your Los Osos South Bay Fire Department ran a total of 143 calls. And it went down 10% from last year, so that's a good thing. Out of the 143 calls that we ran this year, 78 were medical aids, 1 cliff rescue out in Montana de Oro, where we had to call in the CHP helicopter, so we had to rescue someone that was injured on one of the hiking trails. We had 15 traffic collisions throughout the area because of the rains and slick roads. 6 fires, so we've had a lot of fires going on around here where a lot of close calls, burnt food in the oven, etc. So with the quick response of our fire department, we have mitigated any potential for any structure fires. 1 vehicle fire, 5 hazardous calls within the community, 20 public assists, and 17 false alarms. During the month of November has always been a busy month because we are supporting the Operation Santa Claus along with the Season of Hope. So please continue to donate toys, food, etc., canned foods, etc., to the station and Operation Santa Claus because it's always good to have extra for the less fortunate throughout the county. And currently, we are working with Chief Vena, our new our county fire marshal, and we're working on updating the fire code for the county and Los Osos. And I would like to recognize that we did hire a new fire captain here at South Bay, Fire Captain Neil Moriarty. He was actually an engineer here 10 years ago. So we've hired him back from Santa Cruz, San Mateo, and now he started his first day today. So he's going to be one of our new captains here. We are starting our Reserve Firefighter Academy this Saturday. So with the assistance of everyone on the board and Los Osos, we hired 6 new reserve firefighters. So they'll be starting this Saturday to complete their training. And once they're done, we'll start them on the floor. And this Saturday, we'll also be participating in the Christmas parade, where the firefighters will be riding in the parade along with our special guest, Santa himself. Other than that, end of report. Any questions?
Any questions? No. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, sheriff's report. No sheriff's report today. Okay, utilities department. Jose, you're up.
Good evening, Mr. President, Board of Directors, members of the public. My name is Jose Acosta.
You're the second one to do that. I don't know.
I'm a Utility Systems Manager, and tonight I'll be reporting for the month of October 2019. First off, we'll report on the water that was produced. 14.6 million gallons was produced from all the well sites, and that equates to approximately 470,000 gallons per day. This represents a decrease in production from last year by a little over 0.2% only. Using the state's formula to calculate the per capita residential use, the customers averaged about 62.9 gallons per day per person. That's a decrease from 63.1 gallons per day last year. Below, you'll see the production and runtime by each well site, the gallons first, and then the electrical consumption right below that. Under that, you'll see the water billing information. For the month of October, we billed for approximately 16.17 million gallons, and that equated to a revenue of approximately $287,000. During the month of October, the crew stayed busy performing their monthly meter reading, daily, weekly, monthly water quality sampling, performed maintenance at 8th Street well filtration system, painting, cleaning the tank, ensuring that it's running properly. Meter changeout program, changed out approximately 66 meters throughout the city. Training of a new operator, Ian Good, he's been doing very well. He's been on board for almost 2 months now. Performed follow-up work from the leak detection program that was completed in September. I reported then that it was a great program. We found several leaks, and the operators are digging up those leaks and making those repairs. So there was some water loss out there, and they're catching up on it. Also, just want to give a quick update on some issues that we had at some of our wells during the storm this past couple weeks. At 8th Street well, we suffered a motor well. The motor lost on one of our wells. There was some power fluctuations. Same at 10th Street. We have power fluctuations during the rainstorms. We've been talking to PG&E, getting an energy company out to come check our equipment, check what we have on there, possibly putting some electrical conditioners on there and maybe some VFDs to help with the power surges and amperage differentials. But what we did do, we pulled 8th Street well, which was a little over $10,000 repair, and we're replacing the column pipe with PVC versus natural steel casing, which will allow the well to last longer, prolong the life of that well. The rainfall, there was no rain for the month of October. As you can see the chart below, we had approximately 1.69 inches of rain so far this year. That's the end of my report. Any questions?
Oh, seeing none, thank you very much. Okay, General Manager's report, Ron?
We had a
General
representative of the
Manager,
sheriff.
I know General Manager, we'll get him.
Okay. Just general activities. I did go out. I've been trying to connect more with our community. I did a presentation to our Rotary Club at the beginning of November. Did a second presentation for the Scenic Coast Realtors Association later in November. And I have been attending the stakeholder meetings for the Friends of the Library in the county to build us a new library out here. All those meetings have been fantastic as far as me being able to get out in the community more, tell what the community about what the CSD does and what we're doing, and also be part, working with the Friends of the Library has been rewarding for me because I'm meeting a lot of people and being able to, again, connect with community members. Some of the other things we've done, we did complete the BMC Lupin Street monitoring well. That was completed in November, and I want to thank our water crew for their critical support of that project to completion, successful completion. And we also initiated a couple of projects, executed contracts for the test well at the Los Osos Middle School. We should be proceeding with that, I'm assuming maybe next week. We just have a couple of things we have to clear up with the county on that. And also, we initiated the design for the South Bay transmission line, which will run from South Bay Boulevard down Napomo to 10th Street. Also been working with a subgroup of the BMC with agency staff to do the transition to our new executive director, which will start, Rob Miller's last meeting will be this next Wednesday. And that concludes my report.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, Sheriff's Department?
Good evening. I'm Sandra Arauza, Sergeant here at the Los Osos Coast Station. Giving you statistics for last month. We had 573 calls for service. That was just 3 down from last year, 576. We took a total of 75 reports and 65 last year. There were 2 reports of battery, however, there was nothing notable on either of those cases. We took 41 disturbance calls, 5 generated reports. One of the calls for service was at a business in Los Osos regarding 2 subjects creating a disturbance. 1 subject was arrested for public intoxication. We had 4 reports for burglary complaints. 3 reports were generated. There was a burglary at a business in Los Osos. When the business was closed, unknown loss. At this time, the case is actually active right now and being investigated by the detective division. So we took the initial report, and the detective division is conducting their investigation on that on that burglary. There was 8 reports for theft. 6 reports were taken. In 1 instance, theft of jewelry from a residence. However, no suspect leads at this time. 3 calls of vandalism. 2 reports were taken. Damage to the interior of an unlocked vehicle parked in front of a residence. So just a reminder, locked vehicles, no valuables inside. Certainly not at this time of year. No reports for mail theft. We had 5 phone scam reports. No formal reports were taken. There were no victims on any of the reports, and most seem to be the Social Security warrant scam. There's a warrant out for your arrest, but no loss for any of the people that made these reports. We had 18 calls for suspicious circumstances. No reports were generated by the office. Nothing notable on those. Any questions for me?
No, not here.
Okay,
Thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the Fire Focus Group or Fire Council, Fire Safe Council. Vicki, are you going to give that report?
Yes, I am. All right, so this. The last Fire Safe Council meeting was on November 25th. There were several speakers at this meeting. This is a really working group. Sheriff's Commander Justin Nelson from the Los Osos substation updated the group on how the Sheriff's Department works with the local homeless encampments on public lands. There's no enforcement allowed on public land if people are just homeless. That means if they're committing a crime, there's enforcement, but otherwise, nothing to do there. Commander Nelson does have a community action team that can give citations as necessary. He does not see the citations as a clear deterrent. Lieutenant Gill of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife gave information regarding his agency's ability to work with homeless people to maintain safety. And Tom Wright, the convener of the Fire Safe Council meetings, gave an update on 2020 Los Osos projects. Emily Miggins reported that the Habitat Conservation Plan has been submitted, and future projects include targeted chipping for next year, which is coming right up, and property owners will need to gather materials on their own for disposal.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move to Parks and Rec. Matthew?
Turned it off. Okay, we had our meeting on November 19th, and we discussed the dog park and our Farrell Street pathway and pocket park. So with the dog park, we started out by going over that location. So the location of the potential dog park and the location of the new Los Osos library were on the same list, and General Manager Munns has been working with that library focus group. So it looks like at this time the library is going to stay in its current location, and so our dog park won't need to find a new home. That being said, I think one of the positives out of that is that the county is talking about the dog park and they're acknowledging where it should be, so I think that's good progress. And I think our next step, so what we're working on right now, is to create a site plan of the dog park at that property that will be used to communicate the intentions of that project to this board and the public at large. I know there's been a lot of work on that in the past. Right now it's kind of a lot of words and finger pointing as far as, or not finger pointing, hand waving, like we're going to have this structure here and this fence here and those kinds of things. So we're going to get something on paper. I'm meeting with district engineer next Thursday to formalize that with a landscape architect. So the Wallace Group is going to donate some of their volunteer time to us to be able to accomplish that. So once we get to that point, we talked about what comes next, which is essentially understanding the cost of what we are intending to put in, and then working to find volunteer groups. The whole project is awaiting the community plan update and the HCP, so really what we're trying to do is have things ready to go when that happens. On the Farrell Street pathway and pocket park, we talked about how we're still awaiting a snail survey, which was awaiting the rain. I'll let Ron talk about that for a second, because those results are in.
We hired Ecological Asset Management, Dwayne Oberhoff, to do the snail survey, which he did on December 6th. We found snails. So he'll be completing a report, which will then go to the federal regulatory agency. He does believe we can at least do the improvement on the trail because of the location of the habitat for the snails. But definitely the pocket park would have to wait for the HCP to be completed before we'd want to move forward on that.
So the next piece that we had discussed at the Parks and Rec meeting was to transition to a phased approach on this, separate the pathway from the pocket park for exactly this reason, which turned out to be a good call. So that way we can focus efforts on what's actually accomplishable versus what we have to wait for. So that being said, the pathway, I've talked to the LOCAC Traffic and Circulation and the County Bicycle Advisory Committee, looking to see if that connection could be part of a larger piece of circulation in the community to go from this side of town down to Baywood. And potentially, with a multi-use pathway that could accommodate bikes and walkers and joggers, and really help connect things and stay off of the busy streets, especially the Ramona 4th Street gamble, as I call it. So we'll continue our work on those and to get that word out. And then the last piece was, we're calling it the recreational resource page. There's an idea by Christina Grimm to offer up a page on our website to collect all the different parks and recreation activities that exist and help people be directed to those, have one space to find the information. So we're working on that and understanding how we would go about that and what's included. And I guess Ron could talk about that a little more. I know you guys have started on a little bit.
Yes, we're going to, like Director Forcoy said, the concept's great. What we have to do is try to hone in what the policy will be on what we post, because there are a lot of opportunities people don't know we have in this area for either passive or active recreation. So we're working on how we will how we will provide that information, because do we allow like horse riding stables that are for profit to be listed on that, as opposed to just saying there's horseback riding opportunities, So anyway, we have to work through those kind of details. But we're kind of excited about it to make, the community services district part of the community and be a place where people can go and not just look for their water bill information, but things that are happening in our community. So Christina, Laura, and Matthew and I are going to be working on that in the coming months.
And our next meeting is planned for Tuesday, January 21st, 2020.
Any questions?
I mistyped in my report.
Okay, Chuck, you want to go with UAC? Go.
Given that Director Forcoy actually chaired that meeting, I'm going to let him give the report.
I'd love
Thank
to.
you.
So we had our Utilities Advisory Committee on the next day, the 20th. Really what we discussed at that meeting was the recycled water fill station. And basically County Public Works had come to Ron to look at how to establish this recycled water fill station at 10th Street. There's a recycled water hydrant at that location. And the idea is that community members would have the opportunity to fill containers with recycled water for low to no cost and be able to use that for landscaping. So we had a good discussion, a good public discussion, I thought, on how to accomplish that, and do you allow tanker trucks, do you allow people to fill it up and then deliver the water, what kind of training's involved. I think from what I have my notes in memory is that really they're looking for a partnership, and really what we need is a volunteer group to really take over that operation. You want to fill in?
Yeah, I'll elaborate a little bit. When the county approached me, they understood they didn't have the resources or the connection with the community to put together a volunteer group that would actually operate the fill station. It was a great discussion we had at the UAC meeting, where it really was coming down to sustain a volunteer group to actively open and close that station would be challenging for us. So the alternative was to see if services could be provided by private companies that haul water, or individuals that could haul water, to go to homes and either fill up their reconditioned septics or any other kind of rain capture system they might have on their property with recycled water. So I forwarded that back to the county. I wouldn't say I had a great positive response from that, but I'm still in dialogue with them.
Okay, thank you. Our next, I'm just going to point out, the next UAC meeting is next Wednesday, the 18th.
Okay, thank you. Finance Advisory Committee, we met on our normal date, the Monday before today's meeting. We got a preview of the audit and had a rough draft of that. Left it open we didn't get it ahead of the meeting, but so the Finance Committee is going to have some time to provide some questions to the auditor. It should be coming to the board next month for review and approval. And then they recommended approval of the warrants and the financial reports.
Can I just speak
Yes.
real quick on the audit? Yeah, it was unfortunate that we couldn't get the audit out more in advance of that meeting, but the good news was the finance and the board meetings were pushed back a week, so at least they were daylighted before the board meeting tonight. Once we get a finalized audit, which will be in the next couple of weeks, we'll have that loaded up on the website. We do have hard copies of the audit. If people want to take one home, look at it, provide input to me, which I can pass on to the auditors, and that's what we asked the Finance Advisory Committee to do as well. It's essential that we get it back to the board for approval because we need to distribute that to outside agencies like iBank and our Refi for our bond loan, all those agencies that are overseeing our debt.
Okay, thank you. Any outside committees, et cetera? None? Okay. Response to previously asked questions, I believe you have something to bring up, Mr. Minery.
Thank you, President Ohilski and directors of the board. I have presented to you tonight and provided copies for the public a letter dated December 10th from the district attorney's office in regards to questions that have been coming up over the past year in regards to district board member compensation. I think the letter is relatively clear in that the analysis that I discussed with your board in October regarding compensation is consistent with the direction from the district attorney's office, and ultimately the district attorney agrees with my prior analysis that although it appears that there were certain deviations from strict compliance with your board's bylaws in regards to how compensation was paid to directors in the past, that those were mistakes, and as a result of mistaken information passed over time, but no intentional or certainly no criminal wrongdoing occurred. And ultimately, the Deputy District Attorney Michael Fry comes to the conclusion at the end that the District Attorney will not pursue this matter any further, but does request your board to pay a little more closer attention to bylaws and the law, and any further violations will be reviewed with a higher standard, I suppose. So with that, I'll take any questions from the board.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, so with that, we'll go to public comment on the, well, pardon me, does anybody want to pull an item on the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to public comment on the administrative and committee reports and the consent agenda.
Good evening, Lindy Owen. I wanted to ask, maybe Jose can clarify that there's been a truck with a lot of surveying going on around Napomo and 10th. And when I stopped to ask them, I'm always curious, what they were up to, they said they were doing some water line adjustment surveying. So I was just curious if that was anything of interest to the public. And then the Los Osos Fire Focus Group, I just caught mention, Vicki said something about there'll be some chipping coming up, and I recall one of the shocks that I got was that they do, the Fire Safe Focus Group does not support chipping as a way of mulching because it's a fire hazard. And I still kind of find that odd, and that is what everybody does to mulch and keep weeds down. So just wanted to throw that out as if they say that chipping is not good and they are chipping, then it's a curiosity. As far as the recycled water fill station, our tree group is interested in working and finding out what the logistics would be to whether we purchase a truck or we go in and get a volunteer activity going with somebody else's water truck to be able to water trees in Los Osos, and at the lowest rate possible, since it's a community service, and it would only be during the dry months, of course. So I think that was all. Just wanted to note, in the community plan, the proposed dog park area is actually got a very odd zoning, so we'll have to correct that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening again. I'm Julie Tacker, and I am going to address your. Sorry. That thing is loose, I think. Sorry about that. I'm going to address your legal counsel's report on the district attorney's letter. I've just read it tonight, and I'd like to know who's going to tell him that Renee doesn't know how to do math and that her analysis was wrong. So that using her analysis for his analysis makes his analysis wrong too. It'll probably be me. But I think it should be you. You direct legal counsel to let the district attorney know that her analysis was incorrect. And he mentions Government Code Section 61047, examples of non-compensable activities for which compensation was actually sought from LOCSD include meeting with fellow directors, meeting with the district manager, meeting with department heads, and meeting with legal counsel for the district. He says it bears re-emphasizing that Section 61047A is very precise in identifying when members of a board of directors are entitled to compensation, particularly when directors are participating in non-Brown Act meetings and activities. And it goes on. He doesn't have, page 4. So you look at page 4 and the footnote number 7. In Ms. Osborne's analysis, she gave you credit for meeting with fellow directors, meeting with the district manager herself, meeting with department heads and legal counsel for the district. So that money has not been repaid. In October, your district legal counsel made a recommendation that you change the way you do the accounting for director compensation and that you make it transparent by somehow putting it in that warrant packet. None of you said, let's do that. At some point, you need to do it so that it can be transparent to see where you've been and who you're meeting with and why you're getting paid for it. So, when's that going to happen? When is that going to happen? That accounting gets changed. The light didn't turn yellow, and my 3 minutes is up.
Time's up.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, so any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and bring back to the board for action. Motion to receive and file.
I move to
approve the consent agenda.
I got it now. I move to receive and file the reports, approve all items on the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? Okay, want to take a roll call, or I guess we don't need to, there's no resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so any other future agenda items we want to discuss?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'd like to put on a future agenda an opportunity for our board to discuss accessory dwelling units in Los Osos. Some of the background, I'll lay it out real quick. I know we can't discuss, but currently the county has an ADU ordinance that requires a 12,000 square foot minimum lot size for an accessory dwelling unit. And state law is changing at the first of the year, which removes that minimum lot size, essentially. The ordinance is in being redrafted and revised, and what we've talked to county planning, and county planning's told us that in the revised ordinance that will go before the Board of Supervisors on the 28th of January, they're recommending an outright exclusionary zone for all of South Bay, the South Bay area, for accessory dwelling units due to the water shortage. So what I think, I want to have the opportunity for us to discuss public to ask questions, and also our meeting will be before the BMC, and I do see this as a BMC issue that the BMC should be weighing in upon.
Right.
So that'll give us a chance to make recommendations.
Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, so closing board comments. Needs and wishes, Saturday, after the parade. Be there, buy. I buy every year. So does Chuck, I know. We have Christmas tree lighting tomorrow night out at South Bay Community Park on the corner of Palisades and Los Osos Valley Road, starting at 5:30. We could appreciate your attendance at that. And then the Christmas parade on Saturday, starting at 10, Los Osos Valley Road. So, any other comments, or you just want to say you all agree with that? Be there?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So with that, then we'll adjourn.